Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to part 6 of my Capo CUB1 build series. Quite a bit of time since the last part, but I tested and played and modded around quite a lot. But finally, I've finished at least the chassis and the electronics, and only the body has still to be finished. Lights, light controller, driver figure, but chassis, electronics, everything ready to go. But was quite a little bit of work, and I'll tell you what I finally used. First, to the motors. As I told you in my last videos, I'm waiting for the 1500 rounds per minute motor. That's this one, which finally arrived. And in my last video I did use this 800 rounds per minute RPM motor, and I tested around a little bit. Testing motors is not fun in the Capo CUB1. I did already show it to you. It's huge effort to change the motor. You have to disassemble nearly everything of the drivetrain, take it out to be able to change the motor. But I soon found that it's no sense using 1500 RPMs and going on 2S to get a little bit of speed. The only possibility for the Capo CUB1, in my opinion, is volt up, gear down. And so I finally tried the 900 RPM G-High motor. I also did show you in my last, or in one of the last videos. That's that one with the plastic casing here on the gearbox, and this motor runs awesome in my opinion. So I'm super happy with this motor. It's not loud at all, and speed on 3S in my opinion is totally sufficient for such a small crawler. I don't want the racer, so check this out. Second gear, first gear, second gear, first gear, and second gear. So you saw now speed on second and on first gear, and for my needs that's totally sufficient. I don't need a racer. And don't forget, this truck is super heavy. In my opinion, 3S is nearly a must. Now the Capo, now it is nearly ready to run, and check the weight of this sucker. It's 869 grams now. The back door made out of metal is still missing, driver figure is missing, and my Fly Sky Novel is complaining. Not now anymore. So nearly 900 gram, and I use the stock plastic bumpers, and you can buy all those as metal upgrades. 900 gram compared to the Rock Hobby Katana. Everyone complains that's a super heavy truck because of its awesome body. It does have 500 gram, and they use the same motor size, and the smaller CR18s to even have much less weight, like this Kratos here, 330 grams. So same motor, and this tiny motor in the Capo CUB1 has to move a truck of, if you buy some metal upgrades, for sure 1 kilogram. That's crazy. And unfortunately it's nearly impossible to use a different motor because of the space here. There is no room. I maybe check this brushless 2500 kV, but it's nearly impossible. Everything's so complicated here, and I will take off the body now, but before I want to show you what I did here. So check this out. So that's my on-off switch. Signal lost. That's parking position. I use a yes. I use a AS612RW tiny ESC, which doesn't have an on-off switch, and I wanted to have the possibility to switch the truck on-off without taking off the body, as in the RC four-wheel drive Bronco, for example. Therefore, I made this connection. That's a simple, little bit modified XT30 plug, and this is in between battery and ESC. And if I want to switch it on, now it's on, but the radio is off. And if I want to switch it off, I put it in this blind pin, what's parking position. And then I wanted to be able to charge the battery from outside without taking off the battery, and therefore I made an adapter for the balancer plug and wire of the 3S LiPo, and to charge the battery only with the balance plug. And it works perfectly. You will see it if I take the body off later. The balance plug saver case sits on the bracket, and it's super easy and works awesome. And I also wanted to check the voltage from outside, because my ESCs do not have a low voltage cutoff, and therefore I made this connected to the balance plug. This even does work if the car is off. So a simple voltmeter, one of those super cheapos, and connected it to a simple push button and made a simple case. So now it's off. Let's switch on the radio. And now let's switch it on again. Turn it, close it, perfect. And it does have, even if it's that heavy, quite awesome climbing abilities. So this is a real surprise for me. And I made a video where you can see it climb on the second gear and on first gear. And thumbs up, little super heavy Capo. So 48 degree, quite steep, and that's about the maximum my Capo CUB1 can do in second gear. You won't believe this. So now we are in second gear. Check this out. Drag brake is non-existent, of course, and in first gear it's of course easy, easy, easy. Still no drag brake, but it's easy to stop. 48 degrees on second gear. I did not believe this. And that's about the maximum in second gear. Wow, thumbs up. And now let's check how much it can do in first gear. About 50 degree first gear. No problem at all. Drag brake non-existent. So be careful. About 53 degrees first gear. No problem, small Capo. 54 degrees. Will it do it? It will. 54 degrees. Check it. $55 degrees. Capo CUB1. 55 degrees. Awesome. 56.4 degrees. Wow. Okay. 56.4 degrees. If I go slowly, it does it. Unbelievable. Wow. 57.6 degree. Boing, it's a heavy cup. Wow. Nearly 57 degrees maximum incline. Thumbs up, little capo. So wow, more than 56 degree, nearly 57 degree on first gear, and more than 48 degree on second gear. Shifting works awesome, as you did see, and this was a surprise. However, a stronger, larger motor would be super nice in the Capo CUB1, but it's nearly impossible. Let's switch it off and take the signal lost and take the body off, and I show you what I did inside. Yes, taking the body off is easy. 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the plug for my voltage meter, which sits in front of the interior of the dashboard perfectly. And now I can show you what I did. Here you can see the 900 RPM motor, 2 servos. I changed servos, so I don't use my super strong metal servo anymore. I searched for the servos which make less noise or least noise of all, more important for the shifting servo, and finally I found the Emax AS08M2, the analog version. So I switched both to analog and they work quite nice. However, it's not the best steering servo, but this small Emax servo, but 2 kilograms, not super exact. Maybe I will switch back again. However, this is not the analog one anymore. Suddenly when I drove, the diff shift didn't work anymore. Front axle was always locked and I couldn't unlock it anymore. And then I played around with servo endpoint adjustment. Stupid me, didn't stop, didn't work, did not stop, did not work, and finally I burned the servo. So that's my second analog Emax. I don't have more of those, didn't find more in my servo boxes, so I finally mounted a digital Emax ASM2 whatever. Those ones absolutely the same size, but they run on analog now and works okay so far. But the reason for this not working of the diff lock unlock mechanism was not servo position, not servo adjustment. So I had to disassemble all this again, the front axle. And what did I find? That's the original wire for shifting, and this, the top, has come out. That's factory assembled by Capo, and that's the wire. You cannot use it anyway a second time because of those bends here after you fixed it with a screw. So Capo, that's not nice. That's already the second shifting wire that broke, and I had to exchange it again and used again my fishing line made out of metal and had to adjust all this again, and now it works. It's not easy, it's not easy. Worst thing, changing the motor, sitting here to get to this plate here, you have to take off all of this. So, but what do you see here now? This metal plate isn't useful for anything, but probably mounting stock Capo electronic parts. It even takes space here by those screws and limits the space, so I removed it. I even could remove this plate, but I guess maybe it gives a little bit stability to the shock towers. So, and my receiver, that's for the Noble, the FGR4S, fits perfectly below this plate, so that's still here. Of course, I didn't want to let this that ugly, and that's why I made a simple interior, and that's hollow, and that's super nice to hide those XT30 plugs. Of course, it will not stay that way. Backrests, I will sand it and paint it, and some luggage, a case, metal case, tent, sleeping bag, whatever. Fits perfectly, works super nice that way. Come on. Simply mounted by 3M tape. I will take fresh one for the next time. So this part of the interior stays on the chassis, and the main part of the interior stays in the body, is mounted by 4 screws. That's the 3S LiPo I use now. It's a 900 milliampere hours, super old 9 Eagles LiPo for small helicopters. I was not sure. I was sure I have to go 3S because 2S is far too weak. Would have been much easier using those small 370 milliamp hours LiPos. 3S, 20 gauge wires, super flexible, much more room, because all those 800, 900 milliamp hours, my Oxy 2 Heli LiPos, they do have quite unflexible 16 or even 14 gauge wire. So was a little bit of a mess, but finally everything worked out fine. That 5-pin plug is for my light controller, for my Lambos RC light controller. So that's power plus minus and signal of steering, throttle and aux. Don't know where it will get out. Finally, here sits my ESC and my BEC. I started with a larger ES1215 RW by Modellbauregler.de. I thought maybe that's necessary for this heavy truck, but that's this guy. But this BEC is super weak and was even too weak for this quite power hungry servo. So I additionally mounted a BEC. But finally I found, well, there's not such a lot of room, and that's a 180 motor, and probably the tiny AS126 RW will do it too. Those are these tiny guys, plus BEC of course, and I tested it and run it hard and it's not even warm, so probably this will do, fits perfectly inside. What can you see here? Here you can see the wires for my on-off switch, which is plugged between battery and ESC. Here's the adapter for the balance wire. Those are the motor wires. There's not a lot of room, and those mounting clamps are nice, but they cannot take a lot of wires. So here you can see this clamp made out of metal, and if you plug in balance wire for charging, this sits super firmly and held by the balance plug saver, so works super nicely. And that's for the voltmeter. What else to say? Servos probably not a perfect solution. Maybe I will try others again. They are quite silent now, they work, but the worst thing in the Capo CUB1 is it's not a truck for guys who want to tinker and test, because it's so much work. Changing servos is also not super easy, because you cannot get to the servo arms here, or very difficult to do this. Changing the motor is a horror, and a larger motor probably not possible. So that's it for this video. It runs. I think it runs awesome. I guess you agree. 56 degrees with nearly 1 kilogram and a tiny motor. A larger motor would be the best solution ever, but we have to live with this. Next video I will finish the body and you will see it with driver figure. I will test different driver figures. I have quite a couple in this size, and of course I will mount lights and the Lameboys RC light controller, and then my Capo CUB1 is finally finished. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. I'll be back.